Looking Forward with Ryan Hughes.
Ryan Hughes.
It's up to Rhino to answer this challenge.
Your leader, Ryan Hughes, 105. Hughes on the inside. Hughes on the inside, though, trying to get a run at
Ryan
him.
Hughes has got a problem with the bike. He's trying to push it to the
All right. We're here.
I forgot my motorcycle, man.
Yeah.
You know, like being on the radios for and forgetting your microphones, like going into the line without your motorcycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at least we're in the race.
Yeah, we're in the race. Yeah, we're here. We're ready. You know,
Present.
we almost missed the start, but we're good.
Almost.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. We are now live.
Okay.
It is Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock.
Yes,
This
yes.
is the Ryan Hughes Hour of Power / Looking Forward with Ryan Hughes.
Yeah, all the above, man. You can put any name you want with it. Just it's on. We're on at 7. Just be ready for it. Right?
Exactly.
A name's a name, and a name is given.
And
right?
exactly.
So
I don't know if you paid attention to last week's race with Cooper Webb actually coming back to Unadilla.
Yep.
That was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see the guys come back. You know, it's good to see the guys come back because you know, those are the stars of the sport. Those are what people want to see, want to see battle. You know, those guys are the legends, and so to see those guys come back in the middle of the season to hit a race and hit something epic like Unadilla, yeah, it was cool.
Now Unadilla was one of your favorite tracks, wasn't it?
Yeah, Unadilla was my favorite track before. To me, they messed it up. You know, before the system came in there and told Unadilla that they have to make a track like this.
Okay.
And messed it up because normally you went to Unadilla and they didn't touch the track. So when the race was finished at the end of the year, they just picked up the trash, and that's all they did.
Okay.
And then they let the whole season, nobody rode on it. They let the grass grow back, the new soil come back, all that. So then when you came back out the next year, it was a little bit smoother in the beginning just from the rain and the this and erosion, but the grass was probably about 3 foot tall. You know, it really was. It was like you couldn't see just banners. And then the track, the bumps have been there for 30 years. And the dirt was it was amazing. And it was one of the roughest tracks that you came across because it was just so inconsistent, right?
Yeah.
From never getting graded and bumps being designed by the motorcycles, the jumps being kind of almost, you know, made naturally from the hills. Now everything is tractored, made, tabletop, graded, took off the topsoil. So it's not really Unadilla anymore. And yes, it was my favorite track. I won there 94 and 95 and the 125 classes. So I always enjoyed that track.
So quick question about that. Because it was such a natural grade, did you like riding outdoor just like normal free riding? And like, for instance, if you went out to, I don't know, out in the Inland Empire, if you went up to Ritchie Canyon, or you would go out to, you know, free ride, because that's more of that style.
Yeah, no, that's the only thing that we actually rode. We didn't have Paris, we didn't have Glen Helen, we didn't have practice tracks.
Okay.
Our practice tracks were made in the hills. You know, and then some winters, or some summers, we'd go. I remember we went like 200 days with no water, no rain.
Yeah.
So every day we had to ride these tracks that were just the shittiest tracks on earth. and when you were done with both motos, time you're done with 2 30-minute motos, there was no knobbies on your back tire. Yeah. So most of the riders now would quit racing if they had to ride the tracks that we rode, just because they're so used to being pampered by these tracks that are prepared and watered all the time. Now, if you've never experienced these prepared and pampered tracks, well, then you wouldn't know any difference. So it's just like when I went to Europe to coach Glenn Goldenhoff, right? And we were in Holland, and it was 0 degrees and pretty much snowing, and the track was just pretty much underwater. But we roll up there, and the top 20 GP guys are there, and it's just miserable, man, miserable. My favorite thing in Holland was the seat heater. You know, because it's so fucking cold. But and I was like, Glenn, how do you do this? You know, and you know, I asked that, and he goes, it's just what we grew up with, and if you don't do it, then you don't race. And I'm like, I guess, you know. So it's kind of what you're just used to, and that's what we had when we grew up, was a lot of tracks just in the hills. But we also did a lot of free riding. We did a lot of jumps and playing around and cliffs and, you know, things like that made us I think very technical, and that's why most of the best riders, or all the best riders, came from California. 1, because our tracks are so challenging. 2, we could do a lot of play riding. 3, that we could ride all year long, right?
Yep.
And so we didn't really have supercross tracks either. Like, to get into supercross, I'd never even really rode a supercross track. We just a little bit, but we just learned to jump and do all these things in the cliffs and the trails, Ritchie Canyon, Palm Avenue, and things that way. and then things started getting a little bit more professional, and then all the factories started having practice tracks and stuff like that. But in the beginning, it was just kind of like teach your own,
So riddle me this one, because now we have an East Coast division on the 250, West Coast division 250, and the riders come from all over the country, obviously.
Yeah.
Where do you notice the best riders come from?
I mean, you can't say that anymore.
Okay.
Because again, it was California, hands down California. Back in the 80s and 90s, hands down California, nowhere else.
Yeah.
But now you have a great rider from Germany. You have probably the best rider we've seen in a long time, or could be ever, from Australia.
Okay.
Right. Then you have Sexton, that's from Illinois. Then you have Cooper Webb, that's from North Carolina.
Yep.
Then you have Barsha, that's from New York, and so the thing is that the only rider that you're seeing that's really good right now from California is Deegan.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I've said, is that you haven't seen a top rider come out of California in a long time, because the tracks are so easy. There's no challenge to them, because they're built for vet riders. They're built for how is this track going to make as much money as it can, and that's by catering to who most of their customers are, and it's usually vets or amateurs. So these tracks are always graded, they're always smooth, they're always watered, the jumps are tamed down, everything is easy for these top guys.
Yeah.
So you're not seeing a lot of progression through California, because if I don't challenge you, I don't progress you.
Yeah.
Right? So you get back to more Florida, this and this and this. You have more sand, you have more rough stuff, maybe different, you get people that go from Europe that, rode a lot of shitty conditions that way. So there's not one place that, that you're seeing the best riders come from. Even now in Europe also, you have people from Holland, of course, Belgium, France, all these different things, Italy. So it's not like it used to be back in the 80s and 90s where, everybody came from California.
I noticed one thing in particular, which is kind of interesting, where when they're riding East Coast, or they're riding even Midwest, and they're talking about, and this is a really big hill, and I'm like, you guys don't know hills.
yeah. I know
don't know hills.
That's what I say, is they're big hills, not mountains.
Yeah.
In California, we have mountains, and so that's where a lot of people struggled maybe when they came to Glen Helen, was that big downhill, that big uphill.
Oh, Mount St. Helens.
It's huge,
legendary.
man. Yeah, it's huge. So, yeah, and that's the thing, is that's one thing about you going back east, is I almost get a little claustrophobic, or don't even know where I'm at, because there's no point of direction. Like California, that mountain is east, that mountain is west, that mountain, that, you know what I mean?
100%.
You know that, but there you get everything so flat. You're like, well, which way is east, west, and south? Just only after you watch the sun. You know what I mean? But doesn't mean that they don't have great riders. Doesn't mean that they don't have great tracks. I think it's just what California had for riders back in those times.
Don't
the 80s
remind
and
me of
90s.
Texas. Don't remind me of Texas.
Yeah, Texas is pretty flat too.
Oh gosh. Ugh. Had to spend a summer in Dallas, and I literally got used to looking at water towers for directions.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that water tower must be north, because this water tower is east.
Yeah. Exactly. So.
All right. So that was kind of one of my key thoughts in all of this was, the best riders are used to come from California. Now they're coming from all over the world, because everything is so homogenized.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, they guess they came from California, then they came from the United States, right?
Yeah.
But now they're coming from all around the world, because everybody's picking up on technique. The GP tracks are more jumpy, supercrossy now too.
Okay.
You have Australia that's coming, that has their own supercross series, national series, all these different things. So now you're seeing a lot of riders come from different places, and then also, it's not such a big transition of coming from GPs to America now, that these guys can kind of come in here and jump right in, because they're used to jumping, they're used to timing, they're used to this, and their techniques are so much better in Europe now than they were. Right? Than they were. They were more just outdoor 45-minute pound hammer stuff. Now you're seeing them be more technical, more sound, more precise, because of the tracks, and they picked up on a lot more of the supercross approach, I guess. Right?
Yeah, which I wanted to, in our next segment on Moto 2, I wanted to go into a little bit of the politics that's going on right now inside the whole, I'd say, the sport itself, because there's some stuff that's happening next year that is really, in my opinion, earth-breaking. I mean, it's changing in a major way, and I wanted to talk to you.
You might be filling me in on some stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that because
it's one thing I don't really pay attention to is the politics of the sport.
Well, the politics also dictate a lot of where the riders are coming from, where the teams are developing, what teams are coming from what direction, where they're harvesting some of these riders. I wanted to ask you a little bit about that as well. Yeah. So that was going to be my second situation here. So right now, we're at a time of period, which normally you and I don't ever talk politics at all.
Yeah.
We try to stay away from politics.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But right now, politics has an economic indicator that is managing and shifting some of the sport. And I kind of wanted to get your take on it, because it's not often that we talk about an election season politically and the role of motocross and how motocross is going to adapt to that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about economics more than anything else. Do manufacturers debut new models in election years?
Well, I guess they do. I don't know if new models, but they have to, have upgrades. So like the new Honda came out with an upgrades.
Okay.
Right. So that, I don't know if they're truly focused on, the politics and when things are happening. It's just an upgrade's an upgrade. It doesn't mean that if they put an upgrade on the motorcycle that they have to charge more for the motorcycle. The motorcycle is going to be the same. If someone's going to buy a Honda, they're going to buy a Honda no matter who's getting elected. I just think that the election is going to affect just overall sales. Now, if someone else gets in the office and now the economy goes up and people have more money, well, more people buy bikes. If they don't have more money, then they're not going to buy bikes. But it doesn't mean that Honda, Kawasaki, Yamaha are making their price range go up and down just because they have a new bike coming out and then the next year they have the same bike coming out, so they lower the price, right? Usually they're probably just the same. So I don't know if that really has too much of an issue on it. I think the only thing that has an issue is if we have some pandemic and different things like that shut down shipping and sales and workplace and all that.
I was thinking more California Air Resources Board / because they've got that electric mandate coming up here, and that's where I was kind of pushing all of this, is because are they going to say, as a manufacturer, hold off releasing a new model right now because we don't know if they're going to make a CARB mandate based on this election that's just coming up, or because it seems that California is dictating everyone's motorcycle now. It's not just, it's not, this is everybody else's motorcycle and this is California's motorcycle. It's we're going to make a motorcycle that fits California and everybody else.
Because I think more people buy motorcycles in California than probably any other state.
Yeah.
I would imagine. At least motocross.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know what California has planned, but again, it's been talked about for so long to not have a gas, to have this, to have that. They're going to ban it. They're going to outlaw it.
As a rider,
all these different things. And so, if they do ban it, if they do outlaw the motor, gas powered motor, it's going to take it's going to just destroy, the motocross economy, because nobody has the electric bike out yet. There's only like one company that has one out. Honda has one tested, but they're still not. It's still not out there. You know what I mean? And then, you got to change. You got to change every rider to learning how to ride electric. Then you got to start getting, it's going to be a whole shit show. You know what I mean?
And they tested that with Mugen. Mugen helped develop that Honda.
Yeah. So, I don't really know. I think, politics are a weird thing, and I don't really get involved in it.
The reason I would ask you more than anything else is because as a rider for a team, you're typically getting the most cutting edge hardware that they have to offer.
Yeah.
They want to see that hardware perform. Are they going to say, "Nah, guys, we're just going to give you last year's trainer and the year before or whatever. We're just going to give you your trainer and we're going to give you your race bike and here it is and this is the normal thing, whatever."
I would only think if there's going to be a mandatory 2 years. In 2 years, it's going electric.
Yeah.
Then if it's mandatory, well, then yeah, they're not going to develop the gas powered anymore. But that's still not set in stone.
Yep.
So there's no reason to, not do that. And I'd imagine their development is probably 4, 5, 6 years already pre-planned. Maybe more, but pre-planned. Okay, here we're going to change this. They're going to make a big change. We're already testing this. We have an idea of that, and so it's not just every year. Okay, let's work on this. It's a whole process. So, but I don't see that really happening because there's a lot of big power, big money in those companies that produce these machines. Even if it's not, the motorcycles aren't, a big industry. Well, Honda, Kawasaki, Yamaha, they still produce a lot of street bikes. They still produce a lot of this. Harley, there's a lot of weight. There's a lot of people that they have to go through. It's just kind of like the gun issue.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, kind of like doors you got to break down and red tape you got to go through to really make that happen, because there's a lot of money on the other side of it too.
Well, you just smoked through Moto 1.
Well, that's what we usually do.
You smoked through Moto 1. So we're going to jump out, play a quick song. We will come back for Moto 2.
I like it.
It is
I
Big
like
49. And you're back.
We're back. We're back and we're live on Big 49.
That you are. And, and I see you got your IG up too.
Yeah, we got Instagram Live. We try to do it 3 ways. We get a live radio show, we get Instagram Live, and we put this onto YouTube.
Wow.
I mean, come on. Why not do all 3 at one time?
So much.
A little bit of like a threesome. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, we get it going.
Who would have thought we'd have that kind of party here?
We'd have a threesome in the radio station, huh?
that kind of party in the Big 49.
You're in my life, so you never know what's going to come around the corner, right?
So,
yeah.
I mentioned a little bit of this, but I wanted to go into this in some detail. This last week in the 250 division, Joe Shimoda at Unadilla went down, broke his collarbone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a big deal when it comes to it's Joe Shimoda. He's kind of he's like Austin Fortner, He's at that caliber of like the high level of 250 rider. And the fact that apparently it was a pretty bad collarbone break from what I heard.
Oh, yeah?
He went into surgery on it, and I wanted you to kind of go into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the sport is breaking collarbones. I don't know anybody that's raced a motorcycle that hasn't really broke a collarbone. And it's just because you land on it. It's not a very strong bone.
Yeah.
So it can be broken very easily, and that's a bummer because Joe is a very, very technical, sound, precise, smooth, calculated, kind of like patient, careful rider.
Yeah.
So, but anything can happen, just like what you saw happen to, Hymas.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just boom, boom, lead and gone, did it, and one little thing, and wow, he's done. And that's what, and that's motocross. Motocross can spank you on the ground and put the lights out so quickly just because of how the conditions are changing, right?
Yeah.
And things happen so quickly because it's so unbalanced and so inconsistent that way because there's so many different types of ruts and bumps and dirts and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a bummer. You're not going to see him the rest of the series and probably not the rest of the year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maybe the last race, 2 races, I don't know time-wise. But, I guess, but this is called...
What's the recovery
This is called
like?
2024, almost 2025, right? So they can repair anything because with the things that I've broken, the stuff they repaired with metal,
yeah.
A broken collarbone just needs more metal in it.
Okay.
And so normally it's, 4 to 6 weeks to be able to like, okay, now you can start doing stuff. But if you get surgery on it, I've seen, I think Marnique Barvots come back the next week or the next day or something like that with a broken collarbone because he was winning the world championship.
Oh, wow.
And I think it was a USGP or whatever back in like 94, 93, I don't know when it was. But he broke his collarbone, and then the next week he rode. I think even maybe Stefan Everts did that. And I know also in MotoGP that the next day, I think Marc Marquez or I forget his name, but on Yamaha came back the next day after breaking it in practice, and actually I finished a 4th.
Oh, gee whiz.
So once you plate something, then it's just as strong, but it just depends on kind of what force you're putting into it and what kind of pain you can handle. I know Hurlings broke his femur,
yeah,
and I think a month later he tried to come back and race a GP in Mexico. And do it because he was in the points lead, but he could ride the first one, then he was done. He could not handle the pain, but didn't mean that the bone was going to come apart.
Yeah.
It's in there and it's strong. It's just is
the
it smart?
nerves.
Is it smart? But when you're going through a championship, then sometimes you can't be smart. You just got to be tough as shit, and that's what that is. But
Wow.
So I wouldn't see Joe coming back if he was, let's say it was Deegan that happened and he had a 60-point lead, and he lost 50 and he's still 10 points ahead. Well, then you might see him come back and try to salvage some points and just get better each week and just try to make that happen. But when you're out of the championship, then you just call it quits.
Wow.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I thought it's got to hit. The process has to have changed over the period of time because these riders are coming back so quickly after an injury like that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on the person too.
Yeah.
And it depends on the injury because some injuries are worse than others, even though they're the same injury, have the same name. But also depends on the rider. The rider might have a higher pain tolerance or just be a little bit more dumb.
As a trainer,
you know what I mean?
As a trainer or a coach, what would you do as far as different in that process when your rider comes back from a serious injury like that and they've got a plate in their arm? Are you immediately going to go, "Hey, Joe, I want you to get on the whoops right now"? And
No. No, the thing is that, once you have a big injury or stuff like that, it's not so much the physical part of it, it's the emotional part of it.
Got
So
it.
let's make sure that we're not bringing the past into the present. We're not bringing that fear of what happened in the past and bringing it into the present where you're always thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right? Let's not come back so quick that now you're bringing a weakness and come back that you have pain and now you're starting to create an imbalance in your riding technique, your style. So that's the thing. It's like, again, if you're leading a championship or this and that and you have to come back, well, then everything's out the window.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then let's make sure there's nothing coming from the past. There's no pain that you're having to deal with, so you're not creating an imbalance. There's not a weakness that you're bringing in. So now if something does happen when you're riding, you actually could have a bigger crash because you're not strong, stable, coordinated, and efficient with it.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the situation, depends on the severity of the injury, and where you're at in the year, of what
Okay.
I would say. Let's do this, or let's hold you back, right?
How soon after? Because there is a little bit of mental trauma when you go through something like that. How soon after do you make the rider go into that? You got to get back in and attack this. You got to.
For me, it's when they're ready. For me, it's like let's say it's Austin.
Okay.
When Austin comes back, we're going to go. The first day is we're going to go climb Palomar Mountain on a motorcycle, big, 50-foot wide.
Yep.
Dirt road.
Yep.
And just ride and just have fun and
Okay.
see a view. I'm going to get a bike too and ride with them and just
Wow,
we're just
that
going to
sounds
have
like
fun.
that sounds like a fun ride.
Yeah,
I wanna go.
it'll be pretty cool. So just at the top of the mountain and come down, and
Okay.
it's really fun. You get to slide the motorcycle. Then we'll go to Noah's track, his turn track,
Yep.
and probably do a couple weeks there. Then we'll go to another track and slowly get into it. And then when he's feeling ready, he's feeling confident, and I'm seeing that he's sharp and precise, then we'll start picking up the speed or picking up the intensity. But it's more just allowing his feel.
Okay.
Actually his feel is going to be our coach.
Okay.
If he's feeling strong, he's feeling froggy, he's feeling precise, he's feeling balanced on the motorcycle, then hey, you go off it unless I start seeing things that are being a little bit sketchy or overdoing it. But I doubt that's going to happen. So to me, it's a one-step process.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious, like how fast do you make that run for that hill? Do you just climb back on or run with it? Now, because of the time of the year that we're in, there is this whole thing where the manufacturers are coming out with the new bikes. They may be coming out and bringing new stuff in. How soon are they releasing those new products to the riders in the race series?
With the motorcycles?
Yeah.
Well, as you saw, they might have them developed just like you saw with Hunter.
Okay.
They rode the 25 and found out that, man, there's some things that are better on it.
Okay.
Right. So they went with it, did some testing, felt comfortable, and did that. So sometimes they'll bring stuff out, and if you're comfortable with it, then they'll put it in there. If they're not, then they won't. So it depends also where you're at with the championship too. They're not going to do anything like that with Deegan. They probably won't do that with Chase. But
Okay.
with Honda being points back, like he was talking about, they kind of don't have a there's nothing to lose.
Nothing to
and
lose.
if this can be a little bit of a benefit you can gain from it, then why not try it? Why not go with it? And then also you're already a couple races ahead in testing and development than they would be if they started after the SMX series.
Got it.
So again, it just depends on, what, if there's a true weakness in the motorcycle and they found a big improvement, then yeah, jump on it. But if they don't, then
Were you a big proponent of when the manufacturers would come out and say, "Here, I have a new product"? Were you?
I was always willing to try new parts, and test different things and try things that were kind of one-offs or ideas. Just like we were talking about in 2000, HRC Honda had the idea to bring out a 20-inch front wheel.
Okay.
So the first GP of the year in Spain, hardpack, I did a 20-inch front wheel and an 18-inch rear wheel. And the first moto I didn't get to race because of my mechanic was late to staging.
Okay.
So, long story is that going into that season, I trained my ass off, man. I did probably 70 hours of motos, of 45-minute motos. I ran 500 miles. I bicycled 1,000 miles. I mean, I was so ready. And so in the GPs, you have to be in staging Parc Fermé at a certain time. And so everybody was in there, and then the clock was getting close to the time of where the shut off. And so the mechanics were looking at it, and they didn't see my bike. So they all circled around the clock. And then here comes my mechanic with a cigarette in his mouth, just cruising, and all of a sudden that clock went to click, and they're like, shut that gate, shut it. And they shut it, and then my mechanic came up, and they're like, nope, you're too late. So I'm getting ready. I'm on my bicycle getting ready, ready to win this first fucking GP, you know what I mean? And they come to me and they says, hey, man, you're not racing. I said, what do you mean I'm not racing? And they're like, the mechanic was late to the Parc Fermé. You don't get to race. And so, I mean, it wasn't a pretty show. But
talk about a kick in the balls.
It was definitely a kick in the balls. So then my boss was really being upset and kind of bummed out, and I said, hey, man, don't worry. I go, next moto, I'm going to kill these guys. And so the next moto I got to race, and I won it, and I beat them by 20 seconds. And so that race, I went DNS. So DNS did not start.
Yeah.
Won for third overall.
Wow.
Yeah, I still feel.
And you were still on the box.
I still finished on the podium. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a different thing. So it was kind of a funny story.
I think the more dramatic story is what happened to that mechanic.
He stayed on.
Okay.
He stayed on, and I'm a type of guy that allows understands and allows people to make mistakes, because we all have. And it'd be like my mechanic yelling at me every time I crashed. It'd be like, dude, how many times are you going to yell at me?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of allow people to make their mistake, allow people to do that fuck up, but is there consistency behind it? Now, once there's consistency behind it, then you're out. You're done.
Well,
then you're done.
Because we're giving the audience a inside look of the whole process of how professional motocross works and how that race environment works. One question I have is, how do you choose that mechanic?
Sometimes just going to the team, they have a mechanic already there. Other times you can bring your mechanic from other teams. Okay. And but also if you're just joining on, let's say Pro Circuit, joining on these new teams your first time, you get kind of assigned a mechanic. So it just depends on where you're at with your status. Okay. Is what you get to do. You know what I mean? So you get to pick your mechanic from the mechanics that are already there. You get to bring your mechanic from another team, or you're just assigned a mechanic.
Well, I asked that question because on twofold. Number one, Eli Tomac. Number two, Chase Sexton. Eli, when he was with Kawasaki, he had his mechanic that he had been with for, gosh.
Yeah, the whole career.
The whole career. Like, those two were inseparable.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he jumps over to Yamaha, and it's like, oh, here's what you're running with. And I was a little concerned at how important is that, because the mechanic role seems like a very important role.
Yeah, I mean, in mechanics, at that level, I wouldn't say one's better than the other mechanical wise of putting bikes together and stuff like that, because now the mechanics aren't doing any of the tuning. They're just the suspension guys. Here's the forks, put that on. Here's the engine, put that in. Now is that mechanic? And all of them are greasing everything and this. So I don't know if the mechanics are any better than that. One might be a little bit more meticulous than the other, this and that. Really is how you gel with them, how they work with your head. What information can they give back to you? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or are they calm? You know what I mean? Do they motivate you? It's that combination is what's the most important thing now. And so,
Guess what?
holy shit,
You got a call.
I got a call, huh?
Yeah.
What do I do here? Hit this one right here because this is like new stuff. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Just hit the button.
hit the button. All right,
Hit the opposite side button.
the other side button. Okay, there we go. All right, we on. We got a caller and we got a question.
Hello.
Hey, Rhino, this is Trevor. Question, man. I just
Yep.
got a question about racing abroad. You ever race, I know you race in Europe some. Did you ever race in Asia at all by chance?
In Asia, well, I would say I raced, of course, in Japan. I raced the Fukuoka Dome. I raced the Tokyo Dome, and I raced in Osaka. So, being on Team Kawasaki, I raced a few stadiums that way. Also spent some time in Japan developing the perimeter frame Kawasaki back in 1990. So I spent some time, but other than that, never really raced down that way.
Nice. I actually live in Japan. I'm
do you
out in
really?
Southern California right now.
Nice.
Yes,
nice.
sir. And I'll be at Fox Raceway this weekend just to watch,
Ah, cool. Yeah,
hang
that'd be
out.
good.
So,
So you're in California
But-
now, huh?
yes, sir.
And what do you do?
Yep.
What are you doing in Japan? Military?
Actually, I'm in the military, so
Yeah?
I have a Japanese wife, and I'll be going back out there once I'm out of the military.
There you go. Very good.
Got
Very
about
good.
6
So
months left,
so what bike do you ride from Japan? Hopefully it's not KTM.
Well, it's nice because the bikes are about half price there.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're made there, so they're cheap. But
Yeah, that's true.
I
Huh?
ride a Yamaha. I have a
Yeah.
YZ125, and I had a CRF 250R.
Nice. Well,
But
that's cool.
when I get back, I'm going to get a 2025 Kicks 250 when I get back. So
There you go.
So I have a
looking
question.
forward to that.
I have a question for our caller, real quick.
Yep.
Curiosity. You're riding a CR 125
A Yamaha.
or Yamaha 125? A YZ 125?
YZ, yes, sir.
Okay. How does Japan work with all that? Because obviously we've got CARB here, and they're trying to do away with two strokes in California.
I mean, I've had no issues with it, to be honest with you.
Oh, sweet.
Every track, they let me ride, no problem.
Nice.
Yeah, they don't. I guess they don't have
Yep.
they don't have the Democrats like we do, right?
Yeah, they don't
Oh, I'm
have.
sure there's some.
Yeah.
There's some everywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah. Very good, man.
Sweet,
Very good.
man. Well,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling, man.
Yeah, appreciate that. And yeah, maybe one day
Appreciate
we
it.
get down to Japan and maybe do a school down there. I've got a lot of interest for me to go down there and do a school. But other than that, maybe if I see you at the local track around here, just come up and say hi and say I was the guy on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be cool.
Absolutely.
All right, my friend.
Or Off-Road Village would be awesome. Out in Japan, great tracks. Just
Yeah.
a couple. To name a few. Name
Yeah,
a
we
couple.
have some.
All
We have a manufacturer. We have a distributor down there for my supplements, Rhino Power. So there could be some correlation of going down there, doing some promotion with them, but then also doing a school. So you never know.
Nice. I know Yuki Okura uses that. He's a great rider.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
rides
we got
for
some
Honda.
great riders around the world. So I'm pretty blessed to be able to have people using my supplements around the world and be able to perform at the high level with it. So yeah, it's kind of a pat on the back, I'd say. You don't get much of those anymore,
absolutely.
but that's a good pat on the back.
Go Faulkner. I'm from Missouri, so I just got to say, go Faulkner.
Yeah. He'll be back. We're just waiting our time.
I'm
but
from
Faulkner will be
Missouri,
back. So awesome, bud. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Okay.
man. Hey,
Peace.
Yep, thank you. Bye-bye.
nice. Look
There
at
we
that.
From one from not from Japan, but we can just it was from Japan. A call from Japan.
Got a call from Japan.
We got a call from Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
cool.
I didn't know if I told you this, but last week at the end of our show, we wrap things up. You usually are taking calls or
Yeah,
on
or
the
asking
phone
questions,
the
yeah.
whole time on the phone. By the way, if you want to give out the number so other people can call,
Yeah, if you want to call us 866-492-4449, Big 49 Radio. You get to talk to me and ask me some kind of questions or tell me some kind of story or whatever the hell it is. But we're here.
So last week at the end of our show, you took like half hour worth of you sat there on Instagram just talking to people left and right, which was really cool. And then the next day, I'm here in the office just doing stuff around,
Yep.
and I hear the phone ringing in the radio station. So I walk in and answer the phone.
Yep.
And I had two calls, one guy from Indiana, another guy from Colorado, both of them just wanting to talk to you. and just wanting to hey, I want to run ideas by Ryan, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool,
That's the number, brah. Yeah.
Sweet. So that was really kind of cool. I was a little surprised that we got a call.
I think people it's going to take time for people to understand that they get a call in, on a phone, and just because it's different. Most podcasts or most podcasts you're seeing are taped and done this and done that. But we're doing a live radio and make it into a podcast and things like that. So the only way to get people to get used to it is to stick with it. And so that's what we've been doing for a few months now. So and jiving with it. So it's good.
It is. It's very cool. I like the interaction of having those callers in. So I saw the other day Jet Lawrence, who by the way I'm going to have to say he's like the king of social media. What?
Holy shit! We got another call.
You got another one. You want to take that?
We got to ask. Yeah, we're gonna take this one too.
Okay.
You're on Big 49. What you got? Who's this? Yeah, that guy.
Hello?
Yep. Big 49.
Hey, what's up?
This is Rhino. Yep.
Hey, what's your thoughts on Tomac coming back this week?
I think it's great. Just like when you're ready, you're ready. Come back. Get ready. Get back in the mix. It's for him. He's a racer. He's a warrior. So, racers and warriors don't just wait till that perfect time. They come back when they're ready. And I guess you wait for that perfect time, but you're coming back when you're ready. Another thing is going to get his feet wet, get gate drops, get that race fitness before the last SMX, round, so he could win that championship also, and then roll into next year's Supercross and things like that. So I think Budds Creek is probably a better track to come back to than Unadilla, just because it's not so fast and so kind of, because when you're not used to racing at that speed, it's different than just practicing. So I think Budds Creek will be a better race for him, for especially the first race coming back. And again, who doesn't want to see Eli come back? Who doesn't want to see that late moto charge or the thing that he does, and then also give America time to pick the nation's team. So yeah, it's good. I can't wait to watch it. It'll be a little bit more exciting than just watching the same guys all the time.
Hell yeah, I can't wait either.
Yeah, that'll be good, man.
By the way, who is this? What's your name?
Austin.
Austin?
Austin. Is this Austin Faulkner? No.
Nice. Where are you calling? Where are you calling from, Austin?
Modesto, California.
Modesto.
Ooh.
Okay.
Modesto. Okay, we got that.
Yeah.
That's local.
Yeah.
That's
not too far away.
No, that's not too far away at all.
Yeah, that's good, man. Hey, so you ride, my friend?
No, I used to, but I got to get another bike.
All right. Hey, still a fan of the sport, so that's good. That's the cool thing about the sport. It's like you can ride or you don't ride, but there's still excitement. There's still a fan. There's still interest. So now I appreciate you calling in, asking a question, and stick with being a fan and get that motorcycle, man. You can't ever get that itch away.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, bud.
Right. Hell yeah, man.
Thanks, man.
You take care.
Thanks for
Thanks
listening.
a lot. Yep.
Well,
See ya.
Yep. Bye.
So, by the way, if you want to tell people what that number is again, that way. At least
yeah, 866-492-4449 is the number to call in. As you see, we answer the calls. So if you're afraid, then I got you. But
it's definitely live radio.
I see a couple of them here. Hey, Rhino. Yeah. Hey, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got some people in there.
Yeah, there's some people here. I haven't really been paying attention to it too much because we've been in conversation. But maybe a question will come around shortly.
Okay. Until that question comes, back to what we were talking about earlier with Jet Lawrence.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about Jet because he's like the king of I would say teen pop media
Is
in
he?
the 450. Oh gosh, that kid's everywhere.
On social media?
Oh gosh, he's marketed himself 6 ways to Sunday.
Oh, really?
So
I don't think he has. Other people have.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was my question: is how in control of this whole thing are a lot of these riders?
I need to talk more about off-road. Well, then we need to ask questions about off-road.
Okay.
See? I don't think they're in control so much except some of the content they put out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But how they get popular you know, the feeds and the lines and all that, that's done by other people, right?
Got it.
A lot of the amateur riders, all done by their parents.
Okay.
All done by their parents, you know, typing it, this and this and this, you know. So when they get older, maybe, you know, they do their own thing, but I'd sure still imagine that somebody has to do a lot of the writing part and the this and the that, and maybe even maybe even control his social media, just saying, hey, we need this, or hey, you know, he does a video and hey, download this for me.
Okay.
You know, so it's much easier, because that's my problem is like trying to keep up with social media, but then also keep up with your life. You know, keep up with social media, but then also coach, train, ride, and do all these different things.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have somebody, a teammate, to help you keep your social media going, that is going to take pictures of you, is going to video you when you're riding, is going to throw, you know, posts up and stuff like that. You know, sometimes even spell the shit right.
Yeah.
You know, tag everything that you're supposed to tag, because it takes time, man.
Yeah.
You know, it takes time, and if you get married to this thing, you just picked up a part-time job. So yeah, he's doing it right, because he has people behind him that are promoting him correctly, just like Hayden.
Yeah.
If Hayden didn't have his dad, he'd be, you know, probably 75% less popular than he is.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a whole train behind that, and Hayden doesn't do anything except a few things probably.
One of the things I will say about Hayden, this is just on a personal level.
Yeah.
Kid is a really nice kid. He approached us at Paula one year and came up and talked to the radio station for a good 25 minutes and just open book.
No, since I've known him, he's been a very nice kid. He's always told me thank you, you know, when we were done training and coaching and stuff like that. You know, people can take him wrong right now because he's talking a little bit of shit, but that's what you're supposed to do when you're at the top.
What?
That's what you're supposed to do at the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what the sport needs, and that's, you're starting to see people like that, because our sport's the only sport that doesn't talk shit.
Okay.
You know, the reason you can't talk shit is because your next race could be your last race ever.
True.
Right? You can't be too confident in motocross, because, you know, you can crash on your own, the bike can break, somebody can hit you. It's so inconsistent, finicky, and, you know, so kind of like dangerous. It's not just, you know, somebody, you know, like I missed the ball when, you know, striking out or something like that.
Yeah.
Like there's some big injuries, death behind what we do. So you talking shit can sometimes, you know, almost feel like it's backfiring, I guess. Right?
I look at it as it gives a little bit of drama into the sport that it takes away, because you and I have talked.
I dig it. I dig it. I mean,
yeah,
I think, like, you know, when you're in a battle with people, man, you should be. Like, you know, I'd almost like back when Ricky and Bubba and all those guys were battling, it's like you should have like a back room like discussion going, okay, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. Because I know that goes on with the boxers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what we're going to do. Look, I'm going to talk shit on you. You talk shit on me. Blah, 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 blah. But we all know it's just to ramp this up, to get this fight more popular, or to get more views and this and that. And so it's same with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, you know. I guarantee they're buddies behind things. It's just like they gotta get some publicity and some talk behind it. So, you know, talking shit on each other, it would be kind of cool, I think.
I think it takes away, because you and I talked about this. It used to be, back in the day, a little bit more, I would say, raw and unplugged, and just kind of, these are the riders, and one of the things that made this sport really cool was the fact that you could go to a local track or a local riding haunt, and all, that's Ryan Hughes. Oh, that's Jeremy McGrath. Oh, you know, you're bumping into guys that are at that pro level at.
I mean, you still have that now in the local tracks around here. You know, you still can bump into guys, but they're just so monitored and so policed on which they can say. You know, like they say, they can't cuss, they can't anything, and that's not their personality. It's okay to have to throw out the F word and this and that, just bleep it or whatever it is, just like other sports do.
Yeah.
You know, people want to see your personality. People don't want to see a fakeness to you, and then also, you know, just. You know, that's the only bad part about the sport right now is the racers are very boring personality wise. On the track they're extravagant, but once you talk to them, you might as well just get a pillow next to you. You know what I mean?
Is that because there's a lack of media training?
I wouldn't say a lack of media training. Everybody knows how to talk. Media training is making sure you hit your number, hit your marks on your sponsors and this and this and this. But everybody knows how to talk about how they feel. Everybody knows how to talk shit. And they do it. We do it. Guys do it all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how to talk about motocross. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
not media training. Media training is just making sure that you get your sponsors out there and you know when to hit them and you don't forget this and forget that. You know, but just talking about the race, that doesn't take media training. You know, to tell somebody that you're going to kick their ass, smoke them, you got nothing. That doesn't take media training. That's just like that's authentic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely authentic.
Yeah. Hold on, what's this?
Okay, what do you got?
Ryan, you've healed yourself back from it so many times. Recently broke 3 ribs. Any healing advice? Well, with ribs, yeah, you can't do anything, man. You can't put a Band-Aid on it. You can't put a cast on it. You can't anything. And anything that you do, you forgot. You didn't know you had ribs. And that's the thing with injury. It's like, it doesn't even matter if you stubbed your toe. You didn't knew you had a toe until you stubbed your toe. And now everything you do, you're like, holy shit, I didn't know I used my toe that much. So with ribs, it's like, it's just a waiting game. You know, it's a waiting game. I mean, can you make these things heal quicker? I don't know. Maybe some ice baths, some sauna, you know, things like that, but definitely not any movement or stretching or working out. So you got to kind of just kind of play your game and wait your time with rib heal that. But that's probably like the smallest bone, but gives people the most problems. Right?
Got it.
Because everything's going in your hands when you're riding a motorcycle.
I'm thinking Cooper Webb here because he has had, you know, thumb and hand problems.
Yeah.
I'd say plaguing him for the past 3 to 5 seasons.
Yeah, I mean a thumb again, and a finger, a thumb too is very small, but as a scaphoid bone is that big.
Little tiny thing.
Yeah, so your fingers are hopefully bigger than that, and but you know that's probably the hardest bone, the smallest bone, but one that gives you the most troubles.
Oof.
You know, you can come back from, you know, you can ride with a broken arm, broken this, you know, with plate in it, broken collarbone, but that one bone, man. You don't want to mess with it. Yeah.
Little tiny. I mean, you were telling me earlier about a collarbone, and you get it surgery. They put a plate in it. They screw it together.
You're good to go. You can start moving it and different things. You know. Yeah.
What do you got? What do you got?
I bring back open face and 500s. Yeah, open face helmet and 500s, and yeah, you don't want anybody with no teeth, do you?
That's a hard
that's
order.
That's a recipe for a dentist appointment.
Yeah. Speaking of dentist appointments, how often do you keep your doctor on speed dial?
I guess it just depends on your. It kind of depends on your career and your luck, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I had some doctors that would answer my call right when I called. You know, but I also have a Dr. Alexander, that he answers my call pretty much every time that I call, because anytime anybody's hurt that I'm coaching, I say, hey, man, someone has a broken collarbone. Hey, someone did this. Can they come in? Yep, come in, this and this. So, you know, that way. But yeah, you know, after a while, you start to have a kind of a list of doctors and masseuses and chiropractors and stuff in your phone that you hit up, right?
It's like normally you're in your teens and you've got like a Rolodex of girls.
Yeah.
No, I got a Rolodex of doctors.
Doctors, exactly.
Rolodex of doctors. Like, oh yeah, this doctor's a great doctor.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You just smoked completely through.
We are done with that one, huh?
The hour.
I like it.
Smoked all the way through it.
I like it.
So I will jump out, but don't forget to get your number.
Yeah, next time you can call in at 866-492-4449, Big 49 Radio, Ryan Hughes, and we're going to leave you with the song.
Well, we're going to leave with a close ID, then a song.
Oh, then a song.
Yeah, there's like 3 things that go on.
Hey, you're the maestro, man. I'm just here just to talk. Right?
This has been Looking Forward with Ryan Hughes on Big 49.